Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols. I'm here to bring you your Nichols Worth, and today from ICA Bibles, I finally have the Horween OH-Mega that I've been wanting for years. I've had the other edition and I just never could quite take to it, so I ended up trading that off for something else. But now I have exactly what I want. Number one thing I like about this is the color. This Burgundy Horween is just simply beautiful. I love the tool lines that he put on there. I also love that it's a semi-yap. It's a perfect little semi-yap too. Just really outstanding. The measurements on this are just spot on. Really beautiful. 3 blue Beresford ribbons, and the reason they're blue is because you can see we went with a blue stitching to accent, and then we went with a navy blue liner. You look at the gilt line, you can see that it's just so well done. Those corners are just sharp as could possibly be. So what I'm going to do real quickly is I'm going to do a comparison to some of his earlier work. This is the first rebind that he ever did for me, and this was about 2 years ago. When I did the review of this one, I mentioned how excited I was to see where he'd be in a year. As a matter of fact, check out this clip real quick. ICA Bibles has only been doing this about 6 months, and as you can see, he is already on par with some of the greatest rebinders out there. I would put this guy on par, stack him up against any of the veterans. His work at 6 months, I believe, rivals some of the best rebinders out there on the market. I can't wait to see where he is in a year. So now you're going to get to see a little bit of his progress. Number one, he was good when he started. And number two, already 2 years in my mind, the best in the business. You can see the double tool line here. You can see his spine work. He did a flat spine then. He didn't learn how to do the rounded off spine until a little bit later, which I'll show you in a minute. And early on, he kind of struggled to center, but this one is actually pretty good considering this was so early. He had only been doing this a few months at the time, so really good work, accent stitching. He used a kid skin liner on this that was really stiff. The gilt lines you can see are still pretty solid 6 months into his work. And then this is the 1 year mark. I've had this one about a year. He did a really good job on this. We elected not to do tool lines on this. He started perfecting that kind of rounded spine, got his own logo. You can see the spine work is centered, looks really sharp. And now that we are 2 years in, him rebinding Bibles, you can just see that work is just next level. The spine hubs are just really well defined. Everything is perfectly centered and square. It just looks really sharp, really nice deep blind stamping there. His work is second to none. There is nobody that does better work than John with ICA Bibles. And then here's another thing that he does, and this is inspired by Cat Woods. And this is the two-tone gilding. Now, both of these have this feature. This is the CSB personal size. This one has the red with the black. This one has the blue with the black. And I have to say, I absolutely love this. So really, when you look at his work over the years, when you look at his work over the last 2 years, he's improved, but it's really hard to improve on this because he was good from the jump. It is absolutely amazing how far he has come in doing this and improving just little bitty details and little small things like getting that spine perfected. And his corners have always been absolutely amazing. His gilt lines have always been absolutely amazing. His art gilding has always been absolutely amazing. It's just, it's unreal what he was able to do so early in. And then to be able to improve upon that even more, to make things just a little more sharp, a little more consistent, because you can see these gilt lines are just a little bit more straight. Those corners are just a little more tight. Another thing that he's changed is you see how he has the big fat corners here, where he's kind of narrowed them to more around 1/8 of an inch to make them really small, just really tight. That butt edge method that he uses, I mean, he's just got that down. There are no gaps in there. Everything is perfectly fused together. He does an amazing job. His edge lining, of course, is just straight as an arrow. And this one he chose to use a cloth end sheet that just looks really sharp and really accents all this really well. His stitch work is next level. It's just everything he does is all about attention to detail, even to the point of adding a little extra square piece of leather right there under the cut to where you cannot see that mesh. What he does is next level. The Oxford hollow is just really nice and stiff. And then one area that he has improved even more drastically is his ability to get these Bibles to lay flat. Because this thing, here we are in the preface, it's laying flat. And as you can see, even a year ago, he was pretty close, especially for this being a compact, to being able to get these things to lay flat. That's an area where he excels. A lot of rebinders will flatten the spines in order to get them to lay flat, but he doesn't do that. he gets them to lay flat even with the rounded spines. One thing I want to show you real quickly is the reason I love this text block and the reason I wanted this custom made is because this is the current Omega, and it is in the 28 GSM paper, and this has the 36 GSM paper. This for me is harder to get a hold of. It feels more like tissue paper and like it's going to rip, where this is nice and thick. 36 GSM paper, easy to get a hold of a page. Absolutely love it. So I now have the Horween Omega that I've been wanting for a long time. Thanks to ICA Bibles. I highly recommend him. He is a master craftsman, does amazing work, one of the best leather workers in Bibles that I've ever worked with. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholas Worth.